Alrighty, guys, welcome to another episode of Floater Gang. We're gonna kind of recap our favorite and least favorite things we've seen so far this early on in the NBA season. One of the things that I was kind of low on surprised on is the Grizzlies. They've only lost 3 games, but they've lost 3 games, 1-0. Maybe they're gonna struggle more without Ja Morant than we expected, which makes sense. But maybe they won't finish in the top two or number one, how I had them in my predictions. That's kind of my low take on the Grizzlies, but it's early on and they still have a lot of talent. I think.
Yeah, I mean, so like the first 2 games they played against really good opponents. Obviously, the Pelicans look great. We expected them to be great if Zion's healthy. And then they played against the Nuggets. Obviously, the Nuggets are the reigning champs. But especially against the Wizards, which I mean, I think a lot of us expect to be really bad this year. They just couldn't create offense, and it's kind of an issue. And a big part of why I thought they were going to be so good was because they previously were so good without Ja, because they defended well and they were still able to get in transition a little bit. I mean, obviously it wasn't as good, but their transition offense sucks now. And their half-court offense sucks. If Desmond Bane can't bail them out, they're just not going to score.
And I think on the big part of that is they're missing Tyus Jones maybe a lot more than we thought because even when he got hurt last season, everybody's like, "Oh, that's kind of big for them." And then it wasn't big. And why wasn't it big? Tyus Jones. If you picked him up in fantasy, you know that. If you watch him play, look at his numbers, you know that. But they don't have Tyus Jones. They do have Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose, great basketball players, but not the same as Ja Morant or Tyus Jones, who are both also very, very good playmakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me though, honestly, the first 2 games did not scare me because, like you said, the Pelicans, they lost by 7. It was a good game. Nuggets, they lost by 4. It was a good game too. But it was that Wizards game that really was like, you guys, like we said, we think they're gonna be bad, and I expected the Grizzlies to, easily take the Wizards, but they just could not. I don't even know if they ever really had to lead that game. They just could not figure out a way to beat the Wizards, and that was really what worried me the most after those first 2 games. I was like, okay, they're still doing pretty good. And then it came to the Wizards and they just did not, it just looked like they forgot how to play basketball almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, they're losing the rebound battle. Obviously without Steven Adams. I mean, the defense has been all right, but it hasn't been as good as we thought it would be. And obviously the offense sucks. So there's just not a lot of good going on there.
And when the Grizzlies played the Wizards weren't even like going off or anything. They were pretty garbage, honestly, except for Corey Kispert. He was like 8 for 13 field goals, shooting really well. But everyone else was pretty bad. Like Kyle Kuzma, he ended up shooting 9 for 23 and 1 for 10 threes.
Yeah.
So he couldn't knock down. And Jordan Poole was 8 for 23, 4 for 12 threes. They were not doing great. So I don't know. Ja Morant is definitely a big part of that, and it shows Tyus Jones, as we talked about, why he's so valuable or underrated in our last episode. But they're definitely missing key parts of the team that is being very noticed now.
But guys, it's going to be okay because they just signed Bismack Biyombo. So.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, that could be a good pickup though, but I don't think he'll be a game changer. They just, like you said, they were struggling with rebounds. He could help on the rebounds a lot.
They need big depth at the moment. I mean, Brandon Clark and Steven Adams are out.
And Alabama
so
even
anything.
too.
Oh, that's true. Anything will help.
They're really injured. I mean, to be fair, but still, I mean, I thought either way they were going to be kind of. I knew Ja was out at least. Didn't know Adams was going to be out, so. But I thought they would be better than they are. But it's only 3 games. But I mean, that's not the only team I'm down on. But that's who I'm going to go with because I think this will kind of carry on. They're going to start winning games, obviously, but I don't think they're going to be as good as I thought they would be without Ja. To be fair, I'm also high on a few teams after just these several games, less than a week of basketball. The one I'm going to go with is actually the Pacers. I was thinking about going with somebody else, but I'm sure somebody else, one of y'all will. I'm going to go with the Pacers. I was high on them coming into the season, and I had high expectations for them potentially looking at being a playoff lock team. I have predicted them to be 7th seed, but either way, they're kind of around that. But I mean, they came off, played against the Wizards, who, like we just talked about with the Grizzlies, they're expected to blow out. They scored 143 points. I mean, they blew them up over 20. And then you have the Cavs, who #1 defense last season, above kind of some of those star-studded defenses, and they also beat them by double digits
Yeah, but
against the
Donovan
Cavs, and we know
Mitchell and Garland were out. So
They still took care of business, and that's what you got to
they
do.
took care of business and still got Mobley. And I mean, for me, I just like see. I mean, I was big on Halliburton. He was obviously going to be good this season, but I like the control of the offense. I like how McConnell is their backup point guard that still
And
keeps the
Nembhard
hustle
too.
and the playmaking, and they got all those pieces around there too. So they got a lot going for them.
I think honestly the best thing I liked about them yesterday is they showed they can close out a game. I know should have been their win, but they showed, especially Halliburton, that he's clutch and he can close out a game when he needs to. He made like 3 straight threes in the last like 2 minutes.
Yeah, and to that point, I forgot to mention they were down, I think 14 alone in the first quarter, something crazy like that. There was LeVert had 22 points in the
Yeah.
first quarter, so it kind of shows this is something you need. Like obviously, you don't want to start that way, but something you need in the playoffs is you need to be resilient. You need to kind of fight back, make adjustments, and
Yeah.
just the fact they were able to do that is a good sign already.
For sure. I mean, yeah, like you said, the thing like that separates the good teams and the great teams is you're able to win the games you're supposed to win. And the gimme wins, you got to have them, and then sometimes you lose against good teams. And the Pacers have done that so far. Blew out the Wizards, beat the Cavs, and I never really felt like the Cavs had that game, but yeah, I mean, I love what I've seen from the Pacers. Obviously, Tyrese has been amazing. Nembhard was great game one. I didn't really see how he did game two. I didn't watch much of that game, if I'm being honest. But to speak on the Cavs a little bit as well, they're a team that I have faith in after the 3 games they played. Obviously, they beat the Nets. The Nets are a good team. Donovan Mitchell, game winner. They haven't had Darius Garland the past couple games. Yeah, they lost to a good Thunder team. I mean, obviously they blew that 10-point lead in the final 2 minutes, but I was still, that game still encouraged me. And then the Pacers game, I think was probably my favorite of all the games the Cavs have played, just because Evan Mobley, when he got touches, he converted. He made a 3. I mean, he showed he can be not necessarily a go-to guy, but a guy that you can rely on to score. And then obviously the bench played well that game, and they hadn't played well previous to that.
Are you high on the Cavs?
I'm high on the Cavs. I mean,
So is that your team that you're high on after season start, despite their
it's one of them, but I mean, I feel like right now the vibes are kind of low for the Cavs. I mean, they're 1-2, but I still have a lot of faith in them after these 2 games, and obviously they're going to get, I mean, basically 3 All-Stars back next game, so, or hopefully, but yeah, it's looking good for Cleveland, in my opinion. Another team that I am high on is Phoenix. Obviously Booker and Beal have missed a couple games. I mean, Book, the 1 game he played, he looked great, but that bench has been defending like crazy. I mean, and that's the one thing we were worried with, or not the one thing. Obviously, injuries is also a concern.
I was hardly worried about the bench, to be fair. I was
But defense was another concern. And if the bench plays like that, or the role players play like that, I think Phoenix is gonna be really good.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I'm still curious about is obviously Beal hasn't played with them at all. Booker's played 1 game. I'm still curious to how that whole situation runs and works out when Beal, Booker, and Kevin Durant are all in. I feel like things will look different. Obviously, it's just more players that you have on the court besides those backup defensive guys. You'll need to figure out who's taking the shot more. Right now, it's mainly Rick KD, so seems like our
KD,
you're going to take the majority of our shots or whatever, but they need to figure that out too. And I think that's still something I'm curious about.
I mean, so KD yesterday, he only took like 11 shots, which I think is the perfect recipe. Or, I mean, obviously you want KD shooting a little more, but with Book and Beal, I think KD showed that he could play off ball pretty effectively. There was a lot of ball handling from Jordan Goodwin and like Grayson Allen and Eric Gordon, which was encouraging to me.
I'm for the Suns. I'm concerned about their playmaking. 2 games ago, their entire team had 16 total assists. The entire team. Tyrese Halliburton alone last night had 13 alone, almost as much as the entire Suns team. But they did improve it last night against the Jazz. They had 31 total assists, but I think the inconsistency of that will affect them a lot, and especially Beal and Booker coming back will not necessarily help it, I don't think.
Man, I
So,
love the stats Valentine bringing to the table. This is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as worried about the playmaking. Well, like we saw at the end of the Golden State game, Booker kind of took over. I mean, he found who? He found Josh Okogie, Eric Gordon, for some big time buckets. So yeah, I think if they're in the game, I think they'll be just fine. And obviously, Booker and Beal are obviously more isolation type scorers or just guys that look to make buckets, but they could. I mean, I think they're probably the two best playmakers on that team, which isn't saying a lot, but it's saying something.
I mean, to
and
be fair, I mean, my take on the Suns is I have nothing to really be high on. They play pretty good basketball so far. They struggled against the Warriors team. They beat them. They did win, obviously important. They struggled against a Warriors team that really couldn't make a shot. They couldn't make a shot. They had even a last chance bucket to put it away. Couldn't. They just missed that shot again. But so they played all right, but nothing special there for me. Eric Gordon's shooting is something that I thought Eric Gordon would at least be reliable. He has been very up and down the shooting. And
Right.
then besides, obviously they should beat the Jazz. I'm glad they beat the Jazz. They should kill them. They end up losing the Lakers. Obviously, no Booker and Beal, and that's exactly the point right there. Health, health.
Yeah.
Beal has played less than 50% of games last 3 seasons. They can be as good as they want to be on the court, and he
Well,
hasn't played at all yet. It's very concerning. That's the number one concern. You can say I have doubts about how good those guys are all as a healthy team, as far as how they are projected to be. But we can't even see. We haven't seen that. That's the biggest concern. That's what the whole number one concern. None of those three guys are healthy. Booker's the healthiest, and he is not particularly healthy. Beal, we haven't seen yet, even in the Suns uniform on a regular season court.
and
Concerning.
that honestly, they're not surprising me. And they're doing as I expected. Nothing special, nothing crazy, but still a good team because they have three insane superstars. And going to defense, I'm not surprised they have Okogie, Grayson Allen, Kentavious Diop, and Bogle. Those are all great defenders right there. It's just their big.
And they're playing good
Diop haven't even played like meaningful
Besides
minutes.
yesterday's pickup or last minute.
Yeah.
But
meaningful.
we know Bogle can defend. He's 7'3", lengthy wingspan.
Bobo's not going to get minutes though.
So have Kogi and Grayson Allen lockdown defenders. But and Nurkic isn't the worst at defense, but not great either. But I don't know. I think everyone's just focusing on their big three and not really, they count them as the team and not looking at everyone else. But they're really not surprising me in any way right now.
Yeah, they're good. They're good, but I'm not particularly high on them, and the concern of health is obviously looming just as large as it ever has.
I don't know. I think I'm a lot higher on them than I was earlier. And obviously I was super high on them. I mean, I think once they get Beal and Book back, and Booker and Durant have never missed a playoff game. So I think when it matters most, they'll play. And obviously they're both great playoff performers. Beal is still a concern for sure. We'll see how that goes.
Durant has never missed a playoff game. Didn't he get hurt in the finals?
Yes, you're actually right.
Is that an accurate stat? Because I would be shocked if Durant has never missed a playoff.
I think it was like within like the past like 4 years or something. So
And I'm pretty sure Booker missed a bit of the first round like 3 years ago against the Pelicans.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just throwing out random stats here. Anyway, I think besides the Suns, Deacon, who is there any team you're kind of low on that has been disappointing, or there's some red flags for you so far?
Sorry, the stat said last year, which is kind of meaningless. Anyway,
That's absolutely meaningless, but that's great.
I still think playoffs they play majority of the time, so it'll be fine. A team I'm low on is, I mean, I don't want to seem like a Lakers hater, but I am. So I'm going with the Lakers. So actually, I think they played pretty well. But that is,
I'm low on them too. That was one of my choices too.
I think they play pretty well. I mean, obviously, LeBron is a big factor. They haven't been able to score. Their defense has been pretty good though. It's just like, they were talking about they wanted to limit LeBron to 28 to 30 minutes. That just didn't make sense to me. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games. Or they'll win like probably 45 games like that. I don't know. Anthony Davis has been pretty inconsistent. Austin Reeves has been off to a rough start. Gabe Vincent as well. They just seem kind of stagnant on offense. I think LeBron needs to play the point guard role. D'Lo has not been great. I don't know. Just a lot of their players haven't been great. Christian Wood gave them pretty good minutes last game.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm super concerned about the Lakers. They've obviously been able to win some games. They all beat the Suns, but like we talked about earlier, the Suns didn't have two of their stars that obviously they're highly reliant on. Um, and LeBron had finished that game. I'm super concerned. We've talked about this before. We can talk about it now. I'm concerned about coaching. I'm concerned about AD. Obviously, a lot of people are concerned about that. Basically, LeBron James in year 21 is still supposed to be. I mean, obviously, he's amazing. I have no questions about LeBron besides his age and a little bit of his health at this point because of his age. But obviously, he's been relied on. And Reed's supposed to come out, supposed to be a big scorer. I mean, D'Lo hasn't been there for them. Vincent hasn't been there. Vincent struggled in the finals. Like, where's everybody at? We saw Rui. We saw him. I don't know if you guys saw those like in the practices. He looked really great. All the Anthony Davis, they're all talking about Hazen for shooting threes. He wants to win MVP. Wants to win MVP. How are you scoring 0 points? How are you scoring 0 points in the second half, man? What kind of MVP campaign is that? I am like that is concerning. He didn't want to play center. Why is he playing center? They got Jackson Hayes, obviously not a great center. They have Christian Wood. LeBron James, there's a video of him. He told coach, yo, I can play point guard. When did he last play point guard? Oh yeah, the year they won the championship. The same year he led the league in assists. I'm very concerned about the rotations. I'm concerned about coaching. I'm concerned about also the players. That's not all on coaching. But if you want to help their stars out, LeBron, AD, the same two guys that we know are amazing and have won a championship that played as power forward and point guard, how about we try that? How about let's run that? There's just a lot of concerns, a lot of red flags. I was big on them, obviously. I have them in my prediction. I have them in the finals. But right now, this is not a promising start at all.
No,
Like
yeah,
they're winning. They've won obviously this game, but this is not. We're expecting. There's higher expectations.
yeah. I really hate their coach. I think he's a terrible coach. Like he just never seems involved really in the game. You know, he has his hands in his pockets during the finals. He has his hand in his pocket during every game. You never see him yelling. He's always just kind of chillax, like, oh, subs, you go and you do that. And not really letting his players do it they want to do in a way. Like Lauren said, LeBron, why is he not playing point guard right now? Clearly, D'Lo and Austin Reeves cannot run it right now. I try something else, try something new, try to figure out what will get y'all wins and like get it in a groove. But I'm interested what Marvin has to say because he had him as their number one seed, as his number one seed in predictions.
They definitely have been disappointing. Inconsistent offense. Torian Prince had a great first game. Second game, forgot how to freaking score a basket. Which is part of the inconsistency. D'Lo and Reeves too. That second game. I mean, they beat the Suns, but their offense was horrendous against the Suns. They got lucky. They came out with the win on that. Honestly, I think that's one of the biggest worries too. Is just their offensive consistency. At least right now, like I said. Reeves, Prince, Vincent, Wood. I mean, everyone besides AD and LeBron, but even AD, like Lauren said, scored 0 points in the second half against the Nuggets. Not very promising. I think he shot like 6 shots that second half, didn't make a single one of them. So very concerning offensive consistency. Hopefully they can pick that up. Hopefully they will try some things considering their bad start, like putting AD at power forward and LeBron at point, or some kind of different rotation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been 2 games. I don't think they're in any dire trouble or right now. Or have they? No, yeah, they've only played 2 games.
I think for their expectations, they're contenders without doubt. That's their own expectation, and for that they are. And I don't understand. Coach Ham says I want AD shooting threes. If he's playing center, it makes it a little more difficult.
Well, I mean, I hope by that he just meant I want him to be aggressive. I mean, because his jump shot is like virtually gone. He can't make anyway. It's really frustrating to watch AD. Like I feel like 2 years ago, you know, that little mid-range jab step pull up was just money, and he just isn't making it anymore. And also,
on every other game.
Yeah, I know. And on Austin Reeves, well, I don't know if this is like I don't know. just what I've observed. But it seems like he's trying to, like last year, he was really good at drawing fouls. But it seems like he's looking to draw fouls more than just to get a bucket. Which I think he'll eventually get out the groove of that. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird. It doesn't look like he's like,
Just aggressive, just trying to just be a baller and play basketball.
I think he's trying to be too much into the star spotlight as everyone wants him to be, and he's kind of showing that he can't be necessarily I don't want to say can't be a star, but like he just can't take over. I feel like in his own way, especially under AD and LeBron. I don't know. I think he's just feeling a lot of pressure. He needs to get.
I don't know. I just think he's not playing the game the right way. Like I don't know. There's something just weird
I think
off about it.
I think he's overthinking it. I think he's trying to completely live up to the hype and get all the points, and he's not doing it right because, like you said, he's trying to draw fouls more than he's actually trying to play the game of basketball. But his hustle the first game was great. He was going for every loose ball, or at least
I mean,
were out of bounds on them. But
like the little things Austin Reeves does, they're still there. But it's just like the scoring factor, or what we saw in the playoffs.
That's exactly it, right? That's exactly right. All the talent, we know all the good are talented, but it is not coming together. And I have to, I mean, there could be chemistry, but we feel like we've seen these guys have chemistry. We see them still getting along on the court. I feel like a lot of that comes back to coaching, to rotations, to things that we expected them after having an off season and practices together that we expected this team to be able to do. They seem very inconsistent and incapable of doing. The defense is there, and it would be even more shocking if the defense wasn't with the type of players they have on their team. So they're still not playing horrible basketball. They're not really in danger of falling out of the play-in, perhaps too, but that would be insane. With this type of roster, that would be insanely shocking. But they're significantly underperforming and not looking like the team they're supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I think they need another piece, like a scoring guard. I don't know if D'Lo's the guy for that job. He just doesn't seem like he seems like he should be on the Hornets, if that makes any sense. He just seems like a Hornets player. But I don't know. They have a lot of time to work it out, obviously. But, what do you like, Marvin? What's been one thing you like?
I was already kind of high on them before the season with their young core, but I like the Pistons a lot. Their bigs have been showing out, especially Jalen Duren. He's been really good in the 3 games. Cade Cunningham had one bad game and they lost that one, but the other 2 games he was fantastic. Asor Thompson is doing everything except for shooting, basically. He makes some bad passes and decisions like that sometimes too, but he's hustling, he's playing defense, getting boards. Ivy's been really bad, but they're still getting wins. And I really like their overall, like I said, young core and things they've been doing this season, how they're playing.
Yeah. Obviously, I think Cade has been great so far. I mean, that first game he had like 30. He had no free throws. Second game he struggled with the shot a little bit, but I like the little things he's doing. He's defending well. Obviously, you mentioned Zor Thompson. He's defending out of his mind. I mean, he's probably playing his way into an all defensive team at the moment. Yeah, Ivy, he's been kind of disappointing, but the brightest spot on that team is Jalen Duren. He has been unbelievable. I mean, like, there was kind of the conversation of like which of the bigs would kind of elevate themselves to the top of that discussion in terms of Wiseman, Bagley, Duren, and Stern. Duren is the franchise center. He's been amazing. His defense is amazing. His offense is amazing. He's really freaking good.
Yeah.
I was really big on him before he came to the NBA, like when he was on Memphis. Lauren was there. I don't know if Marvin was there when the draft night happened. I was really mad that Spurs didn't draft Jalen Duren. I just had I just saw a lot for him, and I thought he was going to be great, and he's been showcasing that this season already, and he did a little towards the end last season. Jeremy Sohan has been good for the Spurs, but I still kind of wish they got Jalen Duren because then Victor could play power forward, I think, a little better. Or but
Jeremy Sohan's been knocking down some shots this year. He's looked good.
But I'm just happy that Jalen Duren is showcasing what he can do. His rebounding has been outstanding.
Yeah.
With I think 15 the other night and then 13 in like the first game. He's done really good and he's really consistent at shooting right now, field goal.
Yeah, he's averaging 15.3 rebounds in 3 games.
Yeah. I mean, so we're going to find out just how good this team is this upcoming week stretch because they got OKC tomorrow, Blazers Wednesday, then Pelicans, Suns, Warriors, Bucks, Sixers. So, I mean, we're going to find out just how good this team is. Obviously, they've played not the best competition, but they've looked great. The defense looked amazing against the Bulls. Obviously, it's the
Even
Bulls.
the Heat too.
Yeah,
Which, FYI, I think Bulls' season so far is very concerning. But
Oh yeah.
that is
Well,
Marvin. I'm curious what team you're low on actually.
So I mean, the Bulls are on there. I honestly had a player, Scoot Henderson, been horrendous so far. He hasn't done anything good, basically. But I mean, if we want to pull a team, the Bulls have been very disappointing. They pulled out that clutch win against the Raptors with Caruso's crazy 3-pointer, but overall, they have not looked good at all.
It wasn't even a nice one, dude. That was an ugly end of a game.
I mean, that was like the definition of a game of runs. I mean, I can't count how many 15-2 runs there were in that game. But obviously, yeah, it was just that was like just the battle of mid Raptors Bulls, which team is more mediocre, and I'm not sure who won. But yeah, I mean the offense sucks. The defense at least sucked against OKC. I mean they're allowing so many wide open threes. It's kind of insane. Obviously Caruso got that big steal against Toronto and then hit the three, but I don't know. They just don't look good. You know, Zach LaVine had the big game. DeRozan sucked. DeRozan had the big game. Zach LaVine sucked.
That's exactly it right there.
They just don't. It just doesn't seem like they gel. And
They don't.
They had the players only meeting after the first game, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
And it didn't fix anything apparently. And plus, not to mention, the thing is, those two players. I mean, DeRozan, he gets kind of assist numbers. He's not an incapable playmaker, but they're very much kind of just ISO scorers, and they're great at it. But those are kind of guys you want as your second best options on a good team. Those aren't really guys that you want both kind of being your number ones. I think personally, at least in my eyes, of basketball. But also to hit on your Scoot Henderson point, I mean, honestly, I'm shocked. I mean, I think everybody is. A lot of people say, right, he was the most NBA ready. Obviously, you get the Wemby hype. A lot of people kind of saying about Scoot might just be rookie of the year because he seems like the most NBA ready prospect of all of those, and he seems to be the opposite. He has the role, he gets starting minutes, right? He's right there, and he can't capitalize at all, and so that's definitely concerning.
It also sucks that Simons is out for the next 4 to 6 weeks because that was going to be a big part of Scoot having another guy to help take the load off him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say overreact or anything, say his career's over, but it's been rough. I think he has more turnovers than assists. I mean, it's been pretty bad.
Yeah,
I'm talking about rough.
I just want to add something to congrats to Zach LaVine, career high points, 51. But the rest of the team also scored 51 themselves. So that just shows if DeMar or Zach LaVine aren't popping up, no one else can do anything. Another thing is I don't like how Javon Carter's not getting a lot of minutes. He did have a pretty bad game last game against the Pistons. He was 1 for 6 field goals. But they're not letting him do his thing. And I think they should definitely lower Kobe White's minute, even though I love Kobe White. But he's not a very consistent shooter at all.
Yeah.
And Desamnu in 2 years ago, he was amazing for the Bulls. Hasn't done anything since. I don't know. Their team is really weird. Billy Donovan, we've seen is not really the best coach. I don't know. They're kind of chaotic right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Javon Carter, I'm surprised with his little minutes. And back to Scoot Henderson, he's averaging 3 assists per game with 4.5 turnovers.
Yeah.
That is not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
Also, to speak on Scoot Henderson, just to give him a little slack. I mean, it's his first 3 games. I'm gonna give him as much leniency as possible. DeAndre Ayton sucked, just straight up. I mean, He has not
Last
been
game he didn't. Last game he didn't.
Last
But
game was amazing.
well that yeah, but I mean he has not been dominating. He has been just
dumb.
just be DeAndre Ayton, He's gotta be better.
Yeah. But
Uh,
yeah, that's the concern. Yeah, we were hoping for a restart for him, and I mean, he still has time to. But
Yeah,
I mean,
but Scoot's shooting numbers have been really bad too. I mean, 35% field goal, 12.5 three. I mean, that's not good.
yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of, Scoot Henderson has a lot of hype and then not showing it at all. Brandon Miller had a lot of hate on him after summer league, and he's been showing that he can play. And he's been really nice for the Hornets. It's just the Hornets are also chaotic, kind of like the Bulls. They're all over the place right now.
I'm just saying, I told you so. But yeah, I mean, Brandon Miller, I think if he didn't get picked ahead of Scoot Henderson, there wouldn't be all this hate, all that stuff. But yeah, he's been great. He's looks like a knockdown shooter. He runs in transition well. He has some nice dunks. I mean, he's just a smart player. And then once he starts getting a little bit more involved in the offense, ball handling and pick and rolls and stuff, he's just going to get better. But yeah, the Hornets have looked pretty good.
But with that, I don't think who's your.
I disagree. LaMelo Ball. I mean, we made our rankings.
Yeah, LaMelo has
So he has been. I mean, last year was horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, I was shocked.
I think a lot of the supporting pieces like PJ Washington, Mark Williams, obviously Brandon Miller, they've looked pretty good. They've looked better than I thought they would.
I think for LaMelo to be really good and on a really good winning team, he needs another superstar on his side. I don't think he can do it by himself.
He also, I feel like he doesn't attack the rim a whole lot. Like he doesn't go he either shoots up that cute little floater or he just passes it out, or I don't know. I feel like he's just gotta, go to the rim. I mean, he did that little last game.
I can't say I've been watching a lot, but when I did watch, he was attacking the rim.
No, yeah, he did that last game. He had like 14 free throws, I think. But I mean, he hasn't done it a lot just throughout his career, and you just need to keep it up because he's not shooting the ball well. So
and he's got a layup package. I mean, he's got the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, Valentine, who were your picks? High and lows. What did you?
My high is Cleveland. I really like how they've been playing. Especially with Jared Allen out so far for all the games. Garland has only played the first game. They barely lost to OKC without Garland and without Allen. Donovan had an amazing game. Everyone else was horrible. Evan Mobley was doing really bad. Barely lost. Everyone was healthy for OKC. And then they went on against the Pacers. They were healthy, or the Pacers were healthy. There was no Donovan Mitchell. There's no Darius Garland. There's no Jared Allen. We stuck with them until the last couple minutes. They were knocking down every shot of the Pacers. We still ended up only losing by 12, I want to say. It was 125 to 113. Evan Mobley had a great game, but I just think with Jared Allen, especially there, like we've seen now what Evan Mobley can do playing center. He's done all right. But I just think it's easier for Evan Mobley with Jared Allen on the court. He just has a little more, I guess, not as much worry. Just the bigs are not just focused on Evan Mobley because he's like the only big out there right now without Jared Allen. So I don't know. Darius Garland's just a big part of that team right now, and he's been out for the past 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with Mobley against OKC with Chet guarding him. I think he shot like 1 for 8 from the field, was blocked like 3 times, quite a few turnovers. But like you said, with Darius Garland back, that's going to change because Evan Mobley won't be relied on. He kind of got the ball and they were like, okay, go make a shot. With Mobley and with Allen there too, he's going to get a lot more lobs, pick and rolls, stuff like that. The team's going to be great. Yeah, they're going to be great. That's all.
I've liked the role players a lot. Okoro's been pretty solid to start the season.
Yang can't hit a shot.
Max Strus had a great first game. Hasn't been quite as good, but he's still been knocking down shots. Obviously LeVert had his good game last season. Unfortunately for Niang though, I don't think he's hit a shot yet. Which is very surprising, at least to me. I mean, in Philly, he showed that he could shoot 40-50% from 3. And just that's all he brings, but he's not even bringing that to Cleveland right now. which could be a pro for Cleveland, meaning once he starts knocking those down, they'll be even better if they get 8-10 points from him from just a three or like some free throws or whatever. But I do like their role players so far a lot, which are obviously carrying right now a lot more with Garland, Allen, and Mitchell being out. But they're showing very positive signs for the team.
I mean, obviously the main concern last year was just lack of depth. But I think the depth has looked better for sure. If Okoro keeps playing like this, they're gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Really good. That's weird. What's your dislike, Valentine?
I am blanking. Oh, the Heat. I don't like how they are right now. They are not nice at all to watch. Hero has been mid. Butler. I like how Bam's been, but I don't know. They're just kind of weird, and I guess that's how they kind of were last season. They were the 8 seed, so I don't know. I just don't have high expectations for them at all.
I mean, it looks like Heat basketball, and
That Heat culture jersey, man. That's some silly stuff right there.
No,
That's worse than
that's
the
my
AA
biggest
jersey.
my biggest disappointment for the year is definitely the jerseys.
Oh yeah. Okay, all the jerseys in general, but that's probably one of the worst
The
ones.
Heat cultures might be borderline the worst jersey of all
That's
time.
some 5.
Which makes no sense because as the Heat normally have like the best jersey, I thought
Yeah.
for the last 10, 15 years they've consistently had some of the best jerseys in the league.
They just
With,
took it way too serious and way too far in culture.
Like the jersey that's behind Valentine's head, that's like one of the best jerseys I've ever seen.
That's a good Heat.
But guys, I lost my train of thought.
The Heat kind of sucked so far, and I thought they would be after the finals. I thought we know they're capable. Obviously, they've been capable since Jimmy Butler's been on their team, despite certain doubts always and haters. So right now we're kind of doubting. They'll probably still end up good, but I still am disappointed. I would expect that after they've made these 2 finals appearances within 4 years, that especially just having that kind of taste fresh off out of their mouth. I thought they were going to really try to compete to try to get that good seeding. Right now, they're just going to really attack this entire season from the get-go, and it has not been that at all. I mean, Jimmy, none of them have been particularly good. They lost to the Celtics. They didn't even lose by that much. And honestly, everybody played kind of mid or bad besides Kyle Lowry actually in that game.
And then their only win is against the Pistons. They won by 1 point. Which the Pistons have been nice.
Pistons are good.
Cade Cunningham, I really like, but it just doesn't seem like they want it. It just doesn't seem like they're really into it right now. And I was expecting them like, oh, they want their revenge. This is their revenge season. They're going to the finals. They're going to be working their butts off. They better start off hot. That's been the complete opposite. So I don't know. They've been just disappointing, I think.
Like what Lawrence said. They played the Heat pretty well. The Celtics pretty well. But yeah, like the thing that they had last year, there was games where just like half the roster was out, with just dealing with nagging injuries, and that's continued this year. Like we may just be in for another year with the Heat or the 8 seed, and then go to the conference finals. I mean,
I think so. I'm a little disappointed by that though, personally. I was thinking they would have some fire under them, like Valentine said, a kind of a revenge tour. But I think you're right. Again, they are still almost beat the Celtics, and they didn't look like they were really playing good basketball.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, it's just it's Heat basketball, baby. That's what they do.
Fair enough.
Really?
Man, if there are any other thoughts, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like and comment who you're high on, who you think might not be looking so hot. But we'll see y'all next time. Alrighty. That took a lot longer than expected, but that's just kind of how we roll sometimes.
Yeah, wait, I mean, that's why when you guys were like, oh, we're trying to make this a short, I was like, you're crazy. This is definitely not going to be a short.
Yeah, I think it was a good video though.